Daniel Ricciardo will leave McLaren at the end of the season after struggling this year. Daniel Ricciardo has cited Lando Norris' quality as one of the reasons he has been outshone by his teammate this season, but also suggests the Brit could be living in blissful ignorance about life in Formula One given he has never represented anyone other than McLaren. There has been a stark difference between the two drivers over the course of the season, something which culminated in the Aussie being replaced by Oscar Piastri for next season, a year before his contract was set to expire. Ricciardo's struggles have been notable throughout the last 12 months, with the 33-year-old regularly failing to score points or reach the latter stages of qualifying. He has picked up just 29 points over the course of the year and sits in 12th place in the championship. The former Red Bull man is 72 points behind Norris, with his British teammate regularly getting the most out of his McLaren, with a season highlight coming with a podium in Imola, the only time a driver from outside the big three teams has achieved the feat all season. It is the second campaign in a row that Ricciardo has failed to match Norris after falling far below his standards in 2021, even with a win in the Italian Grand Prix. As a result, McLaren have decided to replace him next season, bringing in Alpine reserve and former Formula 2 champion Piastri to drive alongside the Brit next season. This comes despite the 8-time race winner having another year left to run on the contract he signed with the team in 2020. Now, Ricciardo has been speaking about his troubles at the team and believes there are two reasons he has fallen behind Norris: the 22-year-old's obviously quality and his longevity at McLaren. The Aussie claims that only representing the Papaya outfit during his career has left him somewhat ignorant of other driving styles, basing his solely around what the MCL36 can do. "If I'm going to give you a short answer, I'll put it down to two things," Ricciardo told the race when asked what the difference between Norris and himself was. "1, I'll never take credit away from him, the kid's good. There's no denying that. And if I say he's not, then I'm just being a bitter, sore loser. The kid's good. That's obviously one element, he can steer. The second is, ignorance is bliss. And I'm not saying he's got no knowledge of race cars, not at all. I think he's quite actually in tune with what he does, from a technical point of view. But it's the only F1 car he's driven. Obviously, there's been variations of the McLaren. But he hasn't driven for another team. So in a way he has got, I'm sure, used to some of the elements of this car. There's probably a bit of that, where I've obviously got some, I hate this word, but I've just got to use it for a lack of better words right now, expectation of maybe what a Formula One car can do or should do, or where some potential lies. He does now, because he watches onboards, and he sees what other drivers can do. Yeah, I wish we could do that. The rear doesn't do what I want. But ultimately, he hasn't been behind the wheel of another car. So obviously, he's good. And there's an element of ignorance is bliss. Ricciardo has now confirmed he will not be on the grid next season as he takes at least a year out to consider the next steps in his career. There is a chance he could now be looking forward to his ever races within the sport, with the first of the 4 coming next weekend in the US Grand Prix in Texas.